Young, tall, impressive. These qualities, according to Jarosław Kaczyński, should be present in the law and justice candidate for the president of Poland. But there is really only one condition. The candidate must have the best chance of winning in the second round. According to the niezależna.pl portal, the candidate could be selected in a primary election like in the United States. Chairman Kaczyński does not confirm, but neither does he deny it. The issue of the primary election has been discussed for at least many weeks, but I repeat, the decision has not yet been made. Unofficially, 4 names were to remain in play. The most frequently mentioned were the president of the Institute of National Remembrance, Karol Nawrocki. Are you ready? Today I focus on my work at the Institute of National Remembrance. There is a lot of work, but with this level of a potential decision, I put myself at the disposal to serve Poland. And current MEP, former Mazovian governor, Tobiasz Bocheński. This is the most important office in Poland and a gigantic responsibility. But yes, if I were entrusted with this mission, I feel ready to undertake it and fight on behalf of the Polish right to ensure that Polish affairs continue to be conducted in the presidential palace in a responsible manner and in accordance with the Polish reason of state. Both have clearly declared they are ready to fight for the presidency. In their favor is the fact that they have not been in the government for the past 8 years, so any of the December 13th coalition candidates will have limited opportunities to attack Nawrocki or Bocheński. In Bocheński's case, the downside is that he will clearly lose in the elections for mayor of Warsaw to Rafał Trzaskowski, who may be endorsed by the Civic Coalition. The mentioned 4 also include the former Minister of National Defense, Mariusz Błaszczak. Next year's presidential election is a very important matter for the future of our country. It is very important that the system is not closed and that the candidate of law and justice will win in these elections. And as Jarosław Kaczyński said, just a little more patience and we will present our candidate who will have a chance to win. The deputy head of law and justice did not want to step out in front. Do you feel that you are ready? Next station, please. Recent weeks also saw the name of former Deputy Foreign Minister Marcin Przydacz. Would Marcin Przydacz take on this task? Mr. Editor, to run, whether in the primaries or in the elections, would be a great honor if such a proposal was made. I was treated accordingly with respect. What is needed is a victory for this broadly center-right in this election, because the president will be the one who will win in the second round, 50% of the votes plus 1, and for that, it will be necessary to mobilize and capture a majority of the votes of the Confederation political party or the third-way voters. Chairman Jarosław Kaczyński indicates that the choice will fall on whoever has the best chances in the polls and surveys. Because there are different comparison levels, different criteria. Even in some of these polls, there are a dozen of them. This is scored later, and when it comes to the results, we tend to get ties. That's the problem. If there were no ties, perhaps there would already be a decision. But there are ties. So in short, we have a lot of good candidates. And there are not necessarily only candidates from the 4 listed. The leader of Law and Justice likes to surprise. Hence, we should not forget about the so-called black horses. Behind the scenes, we hear that Przemysław Czarnek is still in play. Ladies and gentlemen, I am not in the top leadership of Law and Justice. This is the first I hear about the primary election. If Chairman Kaczyński offered it to you, and if you were to run, would you accept the offer? I would think about it. Polish people have been hearing for several years that each successive election is the most important since 1989. Now both Jarosław Kaczyński and Donald Tusk are saying this. Why? Donald Tusk says so because he wants to close the system and end democracy in Poland once and for all, and we want to save democracy. That's why this is the most important election. The Law and Justice candidate for the next Polish president will most likely be announced on the 11th of November.
Well, thank you, everybody.
2 visions of America at one time and in one state. This is only possible in a presidential campaign overseas. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump came to Michigan voters to persuade residents.
I'm really scared because it seems like it's very close. There's so much on the lines here, and the alternative is so disastrous.
Everybody's ready for change. I don't think we can afford 4 more years of what we've had the last 4.
In Detroit, Donald Trump talked about an America that is supposed to be great again. with a tight border and safe cities free from the terror of illegal immigrants, with a booming economy.
You know, Detroit has such great potential, but Kamala and the Democrats have been wreaking havoc on this place. This in many respects, it's a sacred place. So many things happened in Detroit, and it's been treated so badly, and they've been talking about comebacks for so long, but we're going to bring it back better than it ever was, better than it was many, many years ago.
During the speech, Donald Trump had a serious problem with his microphone, which stopped working for 20 minutes. But that didn't spoil the Republicans' good mood.
Hello. I won't pay the bill for this stupid company that rented us this crap. I won't pay the bill, and then we'll have a story that Trump didn't pay the bill.
Kamala Harris tried to tell voters that nothing is more important today than the rights of women, minorities, and immigrants. The Democrat also tried to disassociate herself from Joe Biden's policies, despite the fact that for the past 4 years, she has been vice president.
This election is truly about two very different visions for our nation. Ours, that is focused on the future. Donald Trump's, that is focused on the past. Ours, that is focused on bringing down the cost of living for working families, investing in small businesses and entrepreneurs. Ours, that is about protecting reproductive freedom.
Michigan is one of 7 so-called swing states where voters have yet to tip the balance to either side. Today, polls here show a 48-48 tie, even though just 3 weeks ago, the Democrat was leading by 3 percentage points. Now the fight begins anew.
Donald Trump, who still has overwhelmingly negative favorability ratings in Black communities, despite his campaign doing a number of outreach efforts to both Black American leaders and Black American voters, especially in critical swing states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia, and North Carolina.
Support for Kamala Harris is sought by Barack Obama, but so far it is doing more harm than good.
A strain on family budgets. And in a lot of ways, it felt like the aspirations of working people have taken a back seat to the priorities of the rich and the powerful and the well-connected. So I understand why people are looking to shake things up. What I cannot understand is why anyone would think that Donald Trump will shake things up in a way that is good for you. That I don't understand.
Maybe it's because the Democrats have been in power for the last 4 years. Billionaire and inventor Elon Musk believes the only salvation for America is a Donald Trump presidency.
This election, I think, is going to decide the fate of America, and along with the fate of America, the fate of Western civilization.
Donald Trump sets his sights on economy, security, and family. Kamala Harris on alternate topics. The dispute over America will be decided on the 5th of November. Today is the 40th anniversary of the death of Father Jerzy Popiełuszko, a brutally murdered priest who was persecuted by the communists. To the Polish people, he carried a message of freedom, solidarity, and patriotism. What remains are his teachings and memorable masses for Poland. Today, a national papal march passed through Warsaw, combining the celebration of the 46th anniversary of the election of Karol Wojtyła to the Holy See and the remembrance of the martyrdom of Father Jerzy Popiełuszko. As heirs of the blessed priest Popiełuszko, have we preserved his legacy? Beatified Father Jerzy Popiełuszko, a steadfast priest, a witness to truth and freedom. For many Polish people, he provided support and guidance in the difficult times of communist oppression. Father Jerzy really can be called one of the fathers of our freedom, and this generation, or those generations who knew and listened to Father Jerzy, really are proof of that they accepted his message, accepted his teachings, which was already evident at the funeral, where they shouted, "We forgive," in the direction of the militia. Poland, after the funeral, after the death of Father Jerzy, was already a different Poland. It was clear that something was going to happen with communism, because the 1 million people who came to his funeral, it was already a different world. It was no longer in agreement with what had been until then. By Poles, adored and loved. By the security service officers, he was invigilated and spied on, finally brutally murdered by the SS men on October 19, 1984. They threw the battered priest into the Vistula River from a dam in Włocławek. What remains of him are his captivating sermons and teachings, which are still relevant today. It was his teachings and preachings during the famous masses for the homeland that dealt with such values as truth, freedom, love, as well as respect for the dignity of others. Father Jerzy taught values from the gospel, but at the same time, they are universal values. He showed Poles that they should not give up. I think that he did not fight. He was a witness to the truth, to freedom, proving that one can be a free human being under these conditions of oppression. He got the strength to do that from God, faith, and the people who surrounded him. Father Jerzy was a brother, you could say. He treated us alike. I was also part of that group that met at his house, and it was a wonderful, friendly relationship where ordinary people could say anything, and they really built up this priest. He remained with the Polish people even after his death. The story of his daughter Monika's healing was told by Leszek Prusakov during our morning program. The girl suffered an unfortunate accident as a child. She fell into a greenhouse where glass was embedded in her spinal cord. Her parents were unaware of what had happened, and doctors could not find the cause of her limb paralysis. After intensive examinations, Monika had to undergo surgery, and someone was watching over her. This one priest was in a black cassock, and everyone was surprised. What kind of priest? After all, there was no one there. I said, "Monika, what are you saying? What kind of priest was in the operating room?" She said that he was there. And what was he doing, I asked. Nothing. He sat and held my hand. Today, Monika has a husband and 2 children, and most importantly, she is walking. Monika's miraculous healing was considered in Father Jerzy's beatification process. The memory of Father Jerzy Popiełuszko has not died. His teachings continue to live on as well. The Czech capital went ahead with a move to get rid of an unwelcome business that causes nightmares for the citizens and authorities: the organized pub crawls, the popular tours of tourist groups moving from bar to bar in Prague's historic downtown, have been one of the negative outcomes of tourism felt across Europe. Attracting more than 7 million tourists last year, Prague finally opted for the ban after trying to deal with the groups of rowdy drunk visitors for years. It was adopted to address disturbing noise at night, rubbish on the streets, and security and reputation concerns. Adam Zabrański, a member of the city's council who drafted the proposal, approved this week. Prague 1 local municipality has been calling for a solution to the pub crawls for a long time because it's evident that people who live in Prague 1 find it very difficult to live around these bars. We don't want to completely support this cheap alco-tourism, which unfortunately is still very common in Prague because it is a cheap city. You can get here from various European places for quite reasonable prices. We don't prevent tourists from drinking alcohol here or from getting wasted if they want to, but what we would like to see is that drinking is not happening in the streets, but it's happening in the enclosed spaces that are meant for that.
Cheaper, it's good money, good people, you make new friends, there's birds.
It was very nice. I think it's very funny and you get new people.
The ban will be enforced by the city police force between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m., with the organizers of the pub crawls facing fines of up to 100,000 Czech crowns or $4,300 if they violate it. It's to become effective in November. The radical move came after the previous efforts to deal with the issue failed, including the appointment of the night mayor in 2019, a city official to work to lower the impact of nightlife on the residents. The move is part of the the city's long-term strategy to promote cultural and congressional tourism, and in general to attract people to stay longer than just for a weekend and come back again. The latest move by Prague doesn't mean that visitors would face obstacles to tasting the local beer in a country that is the world's largest per capita consumer of the drink.